we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 85, verse 7. I was just double-checking the text message I received from Amrita Kishori to make sure I have the right verse. So I'll share my screen. There we are. Hopefully we all see the verse there. Yes. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 85, verse 7.
Sri Prahlad Prabhu, it says your screen sharing is paused.
Oh, so resume.
Thank you.
Kantasteja prabhasata chandrajnayarkasha vidyatum yatstaryam vritam bhumer vritir gando rato bhavan. Translation: the glow of the moon, the brilliance of fire, the radiance of the sun, the twinkling of the stars, the flash of lightning, the permanence of mountains, and the aroma and sustaining power of the earth. All of these are actually you. Beautiful, very poetic. Purport: Sri Vasudeva, that's the speaker here, Krishna's father, in telling Krishna that he is the essence of the sun, moon, stars, lightning, and fire, is only reiterating the opinion of scripture, both Shruti and Smriti. The Svetasvatara Upanishad 6.14, for example, says, Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhakti kuto yam agni tameva mantam anubhatti sarvam tasya bhasha sarvam idam vibhati. There in the spiritual sky, the sun does not shine, nor does the moon, the stars or lightning as we know them. What to speak of ordinary fire? It is by the reflection of the spiritual sky's effulgence that everything else gives light, and thus through its radiance this entire universe becomes luminous. And Srimad Bhagavatam 15.12, in Srimad Bhagavatam 15.12, Supreme Lord says, Yad aditya gatam tejo jagad bhasyayate kilam yat chandramasi yat shagno tatejo vidimamakam. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire also come from me. So one verse, Svetasvatara Upanishad, has Krishna being described, and in the second, Krishna is describing himself. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaiva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Let me unshare. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So, very beautiful verse. Vasudeva speaking to his son Krishna after he's seen the sages bow and glorify Krishna and have such reverence towards Krishna. Even as he asked them to perform a sacrifice, Vasudeva has this insight, this realization, my son is the Supreme Lord. And so he's offering prayers and glorification. These types of prayers are found throughout the Bhagavatam. Now, in the Navanga Bhakti, the 9 processes of bhakti, one of these processes is Vandanam, prayer. And the exemplar for this practice is
Akura.
Akrura. Thank you, Jamuna Jaya. And so when we look at the end of the Vrindavan Lila in the 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, we get to read or hear Akrura's prayer. He speaks it at Akruragat, which is the border between Vrindavan and Mathura, just before crossing over the border as Akrura takes Krishna out of Mathura. They stop at a ghat, at a lake, and Akrura is going to perform his Sandhya Vandanam, chanting of Gayatri at the time of the Sandhya. And as he approaches the water, he sees Vishnu lying on the water, on Sesha. And he understands this is Krishna. And Balaram manifest as Vishnu and Ananta. And he looks back to the chariot and he sees Krishna and Balaram sitting there. And he looks to the water and he looks to the chariot. At both places, he sees the Lord present. And so he offers beautiful prayers. Now, if we analyze these prayers, we'll find 6 steps, 6 moves. And it's important to analyze because he is the exemplar of Vandanam. He is the exemplar of prayer. So what is the structure of his prayer? What does he say when he prays? And if we analyze his prayer, we say, okay, he's the standard. How do other people pray in the Bhagavatam? How does Prahlad pray when he wants to pacify Narasimhadev? How does Indra pray when he's apologizing for trying to drown all the residents of Vrindavan? How does Brahma pray? How do the personified Vedas pray when they have their extensive, there's an extensive description of their prayers at the end of the 10th canto that a lot of us might just skip through because it gets too complicated and very dense and philosophical. What do the demigods pray when Devaki is pregnant with Krishna in Kamsa's prison? If we look at all of these prayers against Akrura's prayers, we will find they all have, at least by my analysis, someone may differ and identify 7 moves, but from my analysis, 6 major moves, and they all cover them, some in a lot of detail, extensive prayers, and some will move through these 6 points more briefly. By now, I hope you have a deep curiosity. What are these 6 points? And so they're not always necessarily in the same order, but essentially they will say, I'm unqualified to glorify you. No, that's the first. They'll express humility. You are so great. It's impossible to describe your glory. But then that shouldn't hold us back. We might feel, I'm not qualified for this service. I'm not qualified. But then don't decide, oh, then I can't serve. When I chant, I make offenses. So what's the option? Stop chanting? No, you chant and try to mitigate the offenses as much as possible. So I can't glorify you fully, but I'm going to try. By your blessings, it'll be possible for me to say something. And so when they begin their description, Krishna is the creator. So that's one of the first points to be made. Krishna is the creator of these worlds. Everything comes from him. He is the source of everything. So if humility is the first point, Krishna as the source of everything will be the second. And then to say he's the source is one thing, but like tell me how he is the source of everything. And so there are descriptions either of the Purushas, where the universe has come from the pores of his body, where a lotus sprouts from his navel and Brahma appears atop it. So these will be some descriptions of Krishna as the source of everything, description of the Purushas, how just by his desire, by his will, or by his glance, material nature is activated. The third point then is how he's present throughout his universe. And in today's verse, we have a representation of this type of glorification. You are present everywhere as Virat Rupa. And you get these beautiful descriptions of the sort that we have today, describing Krishna as the potency, the source of, or the potency of fire, water, earth, the sun, and the moon. And a beautiful example of this type of description of Virat Rupa is the first chapter of the second canto of the Bhagavatam, and describing Virat Rupa. And if you look at this and analyze it again, try to understand it, you'll find four descriptions of Virat Rupa, four types of describing, or four ways of describing the universal form. So I haven't yet completed my list of 6 moves in the prayer, but I'm going into a subcategory here, where Krishna is present everywhere as Virat, and this type of description has four categories. One is that he is present everywhere as the 14 planetary systems. Patala is his feet. Sutala, Atala are his shins and his thighs. And then you get to where we are, Bhu. This is his hips, and then just above it, his waist. Then you come to the heart. These are the higher planetary systems where the demigods, the Gandharvas, and then the demigods reside. And then above them, Mahatala, where rishis reside. And then finally, Satyaloka is his head or his crown. So 14 planetary systems as the form of the Lord. These 14 planetary systems, they have expanded from the Lord, and he's present throughout the universe, with the universe as resting in him, depending on him, and coming from him, but also it's possible to see him throughout the 14 planetary systems in this vision of Virat Rupa. Another description of the universal form is the demigods. So the moon is his mind. So Chandrama Manaso Jatahas. You have it in Purusha Shukta. Chaksho Suryo Ajayataha. The eyes are Surya. Surya is his eyes. Mukharindras. Indra is his face. Mukharindras Chagnischa. Pranan Vayu, the air, or Vayu is his breath. And this is wonderful because you have all the demigods then described as parts of Krishna's greater form. He is the Supreme Lord. He is the Purusha. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who are the demigods? They are his aspects, or they are representations of aspects of his great potency. And then Prabhupada would make the point, why worship the pot? Why worship the eye? Or the nostrils of the twin Ashwin Kumars, or the breathing of Vayu? Why not worship? You worship the Supreme Whole. You worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Lord. And when you worship the whole, all the different individual parts are satisfied. But if you just worship, you try to satisfy the hand, then, or independently, satisfy the ear independently, then yeah, there's no great satisfaction. So by serving Krishna, we satisfy everyone. We fulfill all obligations. Also, so that's the second type of Virat Rupa. First, planets, demigods. Third, and I said there'll be four. So third is the social body. Brahmanosya mukhamasit bahurajanya kritaha urutarasya yadveshaha padbyagam sudro ajayata. The Brahmanas are his head. Brahmanosya mukhama bahurajanya, the Kshatriyas are his arms, or his arms are the Kshatriyas, maybe a better way to say. With the Vaishyas, you get two different types, depending on which description you read. Sometimes it's his stomach is the Vaishyas. Sometimes his thighs are the Vaishyas. And then finally, his lotus feet are the Sudras. There's also an important lesson for us. Don't disrespect any of these groups. They are all part of the body of the Supreme Lord. You honor the Brahmanas, the head, but you also honor Krishna's arms. You also honor Krishna's stomach. You also honor Krishna's lotus feet. Don't think you honor the head and disregard the feet. They're all part of Krishna's universal body, and we are to have honor and respect for all these parts. Okay, so now the fourth vision, and most relevant to the verse that we have read today, it describes nature as related to Krishna. It describes a vision of the mountains as his bones, and the forests, so the trees are the hair on his body, and the rivers are his veins, and the oceans are his stomach or abdomen. And you'll get different descriptions, but and the clouds are the hair on his head. And so you get these, and yeah, the moon, his mind, the night and day are his blinking. That's also nice. When he blinks, we have night. When he opens his eyes, we have day. So 4 descriptions of Virat Rupa, and particularly this one describing nature as depending on Krishna, as coming from Krishna. So we learned that he's the source, he's the maintainer, and he's present throughout his creation. So as a devotee, we see the world as sacred. We see God in the universe. It's not just matter for the devotee. Shastra Chakshus, you see through the eyes of scripture, and you see a divine universe. You see a divine nature. The devotee is never separated from Krishna. The devotee is never away from Krishna or apart from Krishna, because they're seeing everything as Krishna's energy. Bhaktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam yatvamam shantimrichate. Krishna tells us in the Gita, when you know that I am the enjoyer of all sacrifice, that I am the Lord and Master of all planets and demigods, that I am the well-wishing friend of all living beings, Suhrida Sarvabhutanam, then you'll be at peace. Yat vamam kshanti mrichati. And Prabhupada described this as a peace formula. And in the 1960s, here in New York City, devotees printed up Prabhupada's talk on this verse as a pamphlet, and they would distribute it at the different Vietnam War protests, peace marches, and so on. Devotees would distribute the peace formula, Prabhupada's commentary or teaching on this verse. And so that seeing Krishna as the Lord of all planets and demigods, seeing him as the enjoyer of sacrifice, everything, if the world comes from him and he's present throughout the world and he's manifesting himself, his potencies, infusing his potencies in the elements to give them their vibrancy or their quality of whatever it may be, light of fire, the taste in water, the fragrance in the earth. If that's Krishna who's giving that potency, then everything belongs to him, comes from him, rests in him, is supported by him, is maintained by him. Then we learn to live in the world with that respect, but also that idea, everything belongs to Krishna. We have to offer it to him. Ishyavasya midam sarvam yatkincha jagat yam jagat. Tena tyaktena mujita magrada kasvasvidhanam. You live in this world, you know that everything is owned and controlled by the Supreme Lord. Tena tyaktena mujita magrada kasvasvidhanam. That is the way to live. That is the following verses describe that this type of living as amrita, that is the nectar. When you live with this attitude, with this consciousness, with this awareness, this life is nectar. It gives the blessings of immortality. And if we don't live with this consciousness, Ishopanishad tells us, Asurya namate loka, nandena tamasavrita. We will be living the Asura mentality. We live the Asura life, and we are cast down into lower planes of existence. So very profound, wonderful vision of the universe and our place in the universe, our life in this universe, how we live. These descriptions that are given to us in the Bhagavatam. So I was telling you about 6 moves in the prayers. So the 5th move, so we have Krishna, humility, Krishna is the source of everything, and then Krishna is present everywhere as Virat. That's 3 points. So yeah, I said 6, it should be 5. The 5th move is that Krishna comes into the world as his Paramatma, to be present everywhere as a witness. He's the maintainer. So he witnesses our activities, he witnesses our desires, he fulfills our desires. And Paramatma, he also manifests as different avatars. You'll see all these prayers in the Bhagavatam, Akrura, Prahlad, Kunti as well. They'll describe how Krishna is coming into the world. And very often, they will give lists of avatars. You came as half man, half lion, Narasimha, and protected Prahlad. You came as the fish, and you saved the world during the time of universal inundation. You came as boar, Varaha Avatara, and you rescued the earth when she had fallen into the Garbhodak ocean. You came as Brigu, as Parashuram, and punished the miscreant kings. And like this, Bhagavatam, throughout the Bhagavatam, where there are prayers, you also get lists of incarnations. And rarely is it just 10. We have our famous Das Avatar list. Bhagavatam rarely just gives a list of 10. Often it's 20, 24, 28 different avatars that are described, including Prithu Maharaj, and so some Shaktiavesh avatars, Nard Muni is sometimes included, the 4 Kumars are also included. And very often these prayers come to the point because there's a devotee speaking to Krishna. They're seeing Krishna. And so as they see Krishna, as Dhruva sees Krishna and offers these prayers, and they say, and now you have come to me. And now you have appeared on earth as Krishna, and you are performing wonderful pastimes as a cowherd, or you are performing wonderful pastimes in Mathura, or you are performing pastimes in Dvarka, punishing miscreant kings, re-establishing dharma, protecting your devotees. So what's the fifth move then? We have Krishna as, well, we have humility, we have Krishna as the source, we have Krishna as present everywhere, we have Krishna who is a merciful protector who descends into the world out of his kindness. And the fifth is where the devotee says, I am attached to this material existence. I'm still struggling with my six senses, including the mind. They'll make some personal reference and a request, an appeal to Krishna. You'll see Vasudeva, he will go through not all five of these moves, but most of them. He's at the Virat Rupa stage. He will describe Paramatma, and then he'll make his request at the end as well. And so the request of the devotee is for Krishna's merciful guidance, for Krishna's kindness, his compassion, that he will enable them. This is also really important to look at. Like, what are devotees actually requesting at the end of their prayers? They request his compassion, they request his mercy, they request his grace. Narad Muni, the devotee often will request, let me always remember you. Let me never forget you. That's the prayer of the devotee. Like, after glorifying Krishna as the source, as omnipresent throughout his creation, through Virat, through these different manifestations, as the universal body, or as the demigod form, or as the nature form, or as the social form, and glorifying his kindness, manifesting as Paramatma and as different avatars. Then the devotee's request is an expression again of humility and an appeal for service, for constant remembrance of Krishna. And so, yeah, today's verse is a wonderful example of that type of description. We also have it in the Gita, where Krishna is describing himself, 7th chapter. I am the heat of the, I am the sun, and I am the light of fire, I am the sound of silence, and so on and so forth. And so, yeah, nice example of that type of prayer and description in today's verse. So we'll conclude here. Any comments, reflections, insights, questions? This is our moment. Adi Purush Prabhu, do you want to take the floor?
It's almost impossible to contribute to a class like that, where you described everything in the entire universe and how it's connected to Krishna.
An example of the humility that the devotee expresses before speaking.
So one of the aspects in the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, there's so much contentiousness going on. Class warfare, oligarchy, different things like that, where components of society, the Shudras, the Vaishyas, the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, competing with each other. And Rabindra's group gives this one talk about how the feudal society was existing, and people began to realize that the clergy, the popes, the Brahminical parts were supposed to put the crown on the king and be offering. They said, these popes are corrupt and they're just sucking off everybody's resources, and they don't have any integrity and good character. So get out. So then they had the divine right of kings, King of England, King of Spain, King of France, all these kings, and they were prominent. And then he said, then the people realized these kings are corrupt. They don't care about anybody, let them eat cake, and, people are suffering and they're not really doing that contribution. So they threw them out. There's like all the different revolutions in France and Russia, and where they threw out the royal order as a leadership place. And then you have a Vaishya rule where the bourgeoisie, where we have power politics now where people buy votes and put people in office based on the wealth, And then Karl Marx came along, according to Rabindranath Prabhu, and said, these wealthy people are corrupt and they're exploiting the power to the people and have the Shudras run everything, But a corrupt and materialistic Shudra is no better than a corrupt and materialistic Vaishya, is no better than a corrupt and materialistic king, is no better than a corrupt and materialistic pope, So the idea that the real solution is not class warfare and throwing out other aspects, but everyone working together to serve Krishna, being aware that Krishna is the reservoir, Krishna is the object of our, sacrifice. And then everybody has a way to contribute, and the society is harmonious, and spiritual culture prevails. And so that was kind of an interesting how the fragmented society is like really everybody understands. You have all these people doing protests and everything, and they're pointing out somebody else who's misdirected, but then they don't know what to put in place, But everyone has a contribution. You can't have a head without a stomach. What about no feet, right? No arms to protect. So everything is there and can be harmonious in devotional service to Krishna. Anyway, I don't know if that's a contribution. No, just reflecting some of the things you said and offering some details. Well, glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Ho, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Adi Purusha Prabhu. Absolutely a contribution. And we quoted Ishopanishad 1 in the class, and your comment reminds me of Prabhupada's purport to that verse, Ishyavasyamidam sarvam. And then Prabhupada talks about communists and capitalists quarreling with each other, fighting with each other around.
Two kinds of sense gratification.
Right? Yeah, two kinds of sense gratification. And then he says the real solution is understanding that Krishna is the owner and controller of resources, and for everyone to take their quota, knowing well to whom everything belongs. And he gives such a wonderful description of what people's quotas are. He says the deer has a quota to eat grass, and the tiger has a quota to eat flesh. And he says, similarly, in human society, there are different quotas. He says the laborer has a quota. They perform their work. They receive some reward, some payment for their services. The merchant has a quota. They perform commerce. They receive a profit from that, and so on. The Kshatriyas, they rule. There's taxation. And so Prabhupada, he gives such a wonderful, but he says, know that it all belongs to Krishna. It belongs to Krishna. We're receiving mercy from him. We are stewards, we are custodians of his wealth, of his resources.
We can't hear Adipurusha Prabhu. We hear Vaishesheka Prabhu's name, which is good.
Yeah, Vaishesheka Prabhu says they're fighting to see who's going to hold the steering wheel on a sinking ship. What's the use of fighting for the steering wheel? You've got to get off the sinking ship and get out of material life.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. So, Min has a hand up.
Thank you so much for the class. Nice to see you, Krishna. It was just so nice to hear the common thread that runs through all the wonderful prayers of the devotees from Srimad Bhagavatam. And I couldn't help myself but to sort of compare what we just heard from you to the way I bring myself to the Lord and pray. And oftentimes I feel like even though I don't want to ask for things, I feel like I'm just always asking for things from God.
Yeah.
I don't start my prayers with glorification, I just realized.
Right.
And what to, and I'm just so distracted.
Right.
And so how do we bring ourselves when we're talking to God? I don't know, just maybe even 1% of like these prayers we're hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam without distraction or without wanting something from God.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for that, Min. So I'm going to repeat your question so everyone in the room. There's lots of devotees here in the temple of Bhakti Center, so everyone can hear your questions. So Min's asking that I described prayer in the Bhagavatam as having 5 elements, and the first four, well, first is an expression of humility, and then 3 are all glorification of Krishna as the source of everything, as present throughout his creation, as Virat, different manifestations of that. We gave 4 different types of Virat Rupa description. And then the third, how he appears in this world as out of kindness, as his avatars to protect devotees, to destroy adharma and those who are demoniac. And then the devotee makes a request at the end of all of that glorification. And so Min's reflecting, I don't usually pray like that. I usually start with my requests. And that's an astute observation. I had the same reflection, Min, when I was studying prayer in the Bhagavatam and analyzing. I thought, wow, yeah, this is quite different from how we pray. We start with, dear God, please help me with something or another that I'm struggling with at this moment. And so initially, I thought I would find that the devotee has a prayer which says, Krishna, let me love you, let me serve you. That's to the essence of it. But then I found that actually it starts with lots of glorification. And then the devotee makes their request, because that glorification is worship. Vandanam is a type of worship. So worship Krishna first. Put Krishna in the center. And that's the difference, Min, I think. Sometimes our prayer can be, or maybe often, is self-centered. We have ourselves in the center. And then when we read Bhagavatam, it's really Krishna who's in the center for the devotee. And then from there, from that position, putting Krishna, establishing Krishna in the center, recognizing Krishna's central position in everything, then the devotee makes their appeal. Now, as far as what we ask for.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Hari Purush Prabhu wants to comment. So I will say something, then I'll hand it back to Hari Purush Prabhu. As far as what we ask for, and this might be different from what Hari Purush Prabhu might say. I have 2 reflections. Our ultimate prayer is pure love for Krishna. And so that's always a constant for us. It's always in our, that's the basis for our relationship as bhaktas, as aspiring devotees, as students of Srila Prabhupada and his disciples. Our relationship with Krishna, we come here to see Radha Muralidhar, not just because we're in trouble, because we need something, we come because we're aspiring devotees. Now, as devotees, we're living a life. And as we live our life, there will be different challenges and obstacles. And it's fine to tell Krishna about that as his devotee. Krishna, today is really difficult. I'm struggling with my mind, or I'm struggling with, relationships, or I'm struggling with, I'm feeling insecure in relation to one thing or another. That's fine to tell Krishna about that and ask for his help, his support. But it shouldn't be the basis of our relationship, the basis of our prayer. Our ultimate prayer and our constant prayer and our ongoing prayer is for loving service. In the meantime, don't hold back, because that's impersonal as well. If I only tell you the things that I know I'm supposed to tell you from Shastra, and what actually happens in life, I grumble to that with my friends, or I call my mom or my dad and I ask their help. No, be personal with Krishna as well. You have a relationship, tell him what's going on in your life, ask for his guidance and shelter and support, but don't let that be the basis for our relationship with him. So I hand it back over to Adi Prabhu, and then Krishna Kumari has a hand raised as well.
You hear us okay? Of course, seek first the kingdom of God, all else will follow, no matter what the financial or relationship or mental problem. The solution is Krishna consciousness, and everything else will be there. There's what you pray for. There's that story the devotees tell about that one about the grizzly bear and the atheist. No, the atheist never prayed, didn't know what to pray for if he did pray, and he's in the forest and the grizzly bear comes after him, and he's like, oh no, he's running, and then they trip. He's thinking, maybe I should pray, because he didn't know what else to do, because the grizzly bear's about to pounce on him and tear him to pieces, and so he trips and he falls, and the grizzly bear's looming over him, and he says, Lord, please make the grizzly bear a devotee. And then the grizzly bear says, Sarirada Vijaya. What you pray for is important. Pray for pure devotional service. Don't pray for these other things. It's not going to help. Where's your from that?
Hey, thank you. We need some humor. Thank you, Min. And we hand over to Krishna Kumari with 1 minute remaining.
Hare Krishna.
I
always love Min's questions. I was just reflecting that, the reason for those, glorification is really also to get clear, not only to be clear what we're praying for, but who we're praying to. Right. So the more emphasis, I really know you, Lord, I know these things about you, then our prayer is going to go to that sweet Lord of ours.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So it's kind of like setting the, I don't want to say target, but it's orienting our prayer that it goes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. There's a sage in the Bhagavatam who says, God, please give me a son. And then Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva all show up and say, which God were you calling? And then they all give him an amsa of themselves as a son. And so that Dattatreya is Vishnu's aspect. Otherwise, Brahma gives the moon, and then Durvasa Muni is Shiva. So he actually ends up with these three sons because he was, he was not specific when he offered his prayer. He just called out, Deva, Supreme, universe, give me a son. So yeah, thank you for that. Nice insight. We should be, we should know Krishna and or have a sense of understanding Krishna to whom we are praying as well. Wonderful. So I think we are coming to time.
Thank you, Sri Prahlad Prabhu. Such a valuable class, such great analysis of prayer in the Bhagavatam. Thank you, Prabhu. We learned a lot today. Jai. Darshan time, dear devotees. Please, no matter how unqualified you are, please turn on your camera if you can. Be seen by the Lord. Give Krishna a smile. Thank you so much. Sri Prahlad Prabhu, can you stop sharing your screen because we see the verse still?
Oh, okay. I don't know how to do that. Stop sharing the screen. Somehow I'm still sharing.
Janitai Prabhu Ki Jai. Vasudev Prabhu Ki Jai. I'm going to recite the devotee's name in the meantime.
I don't know why now I'm still sharing. Hari Purusha. Oh yeah. It's weird. Maybe like click that, which was
I think we're good. We can see you, gentlemen, so we can
okay.
probably see the Lord. Jai, Shishirana Muladhar, Shigur Chandra Ki Jai. Darshan of those fine devotees. Yes, Jamuna Jaya. Yes. A little blurry, but it's okay. That's us. That's our imperfection. Jai Shishirana Muladhar, Shri Gaurachandra Ki Jai. Vasudev Prabhu Ki Jai. Nandini Radhika Devidasi Ki Jai. Radha Muladhar, Shri Gaurachandra, they look so happy. They're being cared for so nicely. Okay, dear devotees, time to ask questions. Who has the answers? Jamuna Jai, you still here? See, Jamuna
I'm
Jai
still here.
will be answering, dear devotees. Take advantage. We have something in the chat. Where was it? Oh, it's private. Hold on. That's the exact. Okay, what is the exact words of this morning arati? Can you please message? Thank you. Govinda Madipurusham, you mean? Anonymous inquirer. I find myself repeating only Govinda Adipurusha. Like to know the other lyrics. Yes, we'll send that to you. We're going to send the link to the WhatsApp chat that we have. And we'll send it there. We'll share the prayers there. You can save it. Okay. There was a question somewhere. I saw it. Darshan of the fine. Okay, here's the question, Jamunajaya. You know, I'm unmarried, poor, small farmer, and I have not in little income sources. I feel like crying. I feel sad. And so what's their quota, Jamunajaya? How does Bhagavatam address this?
Mm, I think that thank you for asking a question here. That was, and I'm unqualified to answer it, as always. Um, but you know the thing about finding the quote that I found today's verses in Sri Prahlad. What I was going to comment is last couple times ago, Sri Prahlad talked to us about prayer, and he talked about the breaking down of the prayer, and I've been doing that. So that's one thing. But I think that from what he told us today, that we can see our quota every day by how we're intaking Krishna. Krishna will guide us. If we're looking to see Krishna in our lives, we'll see him there. If we're looking to see, Achuta Gopi once in a class said, she said, when we woke up in the morning, you didn't have to make your eyes this morning. Your eyes were there. I think that when we walk around and seeing Krishna everywhere, and then we begin to have this relationship with him, because you're there for me already. You've made my hands, you've made my eyes, you've made my digestive system. I do have something over my head. You're here. And, it's sort of like to the point of prayer, like if we walk into a conversation with somebody, pretending they're not there or ignoring them or not even acknowledging them, then how do we expect to get anything back? But in prayer, if we acknowledge that Krishna is there, that he's always there, and then maybe take our prayer from there, asking, okay, I don't know what am I supposed to get? What is my quota? So that's just some thoughts that I had from the class and that question and my very unqualified self. But I feel like, prayer is this asking this conversation, and that's why the glorification is so important. Let me see who you are. Let me open myself up to you. And then if you open yourself up, that's the thing. Krishna won't leave you hanging. He'll always pick up your phone call. Okay, well.
Thank you, Jamuna Jaya. Yeah, we may pray for different things. We may pray for this, for that. But let's pray for Krishna's mercy, for Krishna's presence in our life. And that prayer will be answered. For sure, like Krishna answered Jamuna Jaya's prayer. And look how prominent Krishna is in Jamuna Jaya's smile, in her wonderful answers, in her persona, in her service, in her yoga classes. Krishna is there. That prayer is answered. Thank you, Jamuna Jaya. Okay. Would anyone else like to speak? Open mic. Open mic moment.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Kumari. Are you back from Florida?
With my sink. Yeah, it's just back. Still have some ocean in my hair. Yeah, just got back late last night. No, I was thinking also, it's like a change of the way we look at everything. Everything's Krishna's. And I guess it's a shift of like being grateful for what we do have. And maybe being creative with Krishna's energy. So that's, we have our community cow sanctuary, and we have a community garden down the road. I just knocked on doors and said, you have nice land. Can we grow food for Krishna here? And my neighbors said yes. So, everything's Krishna's. So sometimes just being creative and how to offer, not like, the one class somebody was saying, you don't wait till your bank account has, 300,000 to you give some percentage to Krishna. You start giving now. So even what you think you don't have, you offer, and you see where is it that you can offer this and that. Maybe it's just an orange today, and maybe tomorrow it will be a whole fruit salad. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Krishna Kumari. Yeah, we will all have something to offer, for sure. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Leaf, fruit, flower, little water. Offer it with the Krishna with love, and he'll accept it. Krishna Gauda, we love you. Thank you for coming so steadily. Don't feel sad. You are with the devotees, hearing about Krishna. There's no poverty there. There's no deficiency in that. Okay, so with this, we're going to ask Sammy Long to say Hare Krishna, to recite the mantra, and we can wrap up the yajna. Sammy, please.
Hello. Okay, wait, sorry. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Sammy. Thank you very much for chanting Hare Krishna, for hearing about Krishna, for your association, for your contributions, Adipusha Prabhu, especially. Thank you very much. Sam, join the group. Did you copy the link?
Oh, me?
No. Sam Saurabh Shah.
No, sorry, I haven't seen the link. Thank you.
It's in the chat, the WhatsApp group link in the chat. Please join if you haven't joined yet.
Got it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Take care.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.